Welcome to the OC. I'm Phil, and this is my co-host Corey, and tonight we are talking about some silly Bohemians who hang out in a grove known as Bohemian Grove.
And belong to a club conveniently called the Bohemian Club.
The Bohemian Club. It's a real fucking deal, man.
It's 30 a real
years.
Something.
30 years to get into this bitch. That's the wait list. So I'm told. It's a long wait list. And if you don't have any money, it's an even longer wait list.
Which is funny, right? So, okay, tonight's episode is about Bohemian Grove and the Bohemian Club. So you can't talk about one without kind of touching on the other, but we're focusing on more the Grove aspect, just because that's the, I guess, more popular idea of it.
I think it's because most of the members don't show up. They only show up for that 2 week or 16 days. What do they call it? What's the name of that? They have a name for it. The
jinx. Yeah, the summer jinx or the autumn jinx or spring jinx or something. So
tell me a little bit about this place, Corey. Like, who goes here?
Okay, so who doesn't go here? Who doesn't go here? Okay, so Bohemian Grove is a restricted 2,700 acre campground on Bohemian Avenue in California.
That's right.
It's basically the playground for, like you said, 16 days every year of this place called the Bohemian Club, which originally started as what it sounds like, Bohemians.
Artists,
right?
Musicians.
Newspaper
hippies.
Folks, right? Exactly. Dirty hippies, right?
Dirty, filthy fucking hippies.
Okay. And the idea is they get together, they engage in, let's say,
there was a gold rush. Did you read about that? So this all started around the time there was a gold rush in California. And then, so the hippies are getting together and having a great old time. And then these rich, well-to-do guys who made some money are like, this looks like fun.
Right.
I like art.
Like fun.
I like
art.
Music.
I'm cool.
I like being naked with other men and urinating wherever I want.
Yes.
Did you read about the urination?
Yes.
Anyway, don't let me stop you.
Okay, but this has been not so much as of late, but in its day, it was where the rich and powerful.
Absolutely.
Right.
Well, it's still that. It's still rich and powerful.
Like, I went through the list of guests, and
I don't even know if that's public. Is that public?
You can find out. Now, is it a complete list? It's an awful lot of names. Most people I don't recognize.
Well, they have 2,500 members, so there's a lot of members.
Sure, but I don't think a lot of them show up at Bohemian Grove to engage in the Grove plays and the whatever,
the weirdness.
Yeah. And this is it. This is where we talk about our secret society, right? So let's get it out there.
All right.
Is this a secret society, Phil? Yes or no?
Well, I would say okay.
Let's look at our criteria, right?
Okay,
there's a criteria. What's our criteria for a secret society?
Well, they're secret.
That's
exclusivity.
Exclusivity, right?
You can only be a man to be part of this club.
Now, but there have been women who have been members.
What? No.
Yes. Yeah.
No. Yeah, so you can bring guests who are women, but they have to be gone by midnight.
There were what were the names of the women who were part of it?
Unless that was at the very beginning. No, because they fucking had to fight a lawsuit in California because they didn't even hire women on the staff.
Well, they actually had people dressed up in drag, like dudes dressed up in drag to play the.
We'll get there. Don't ruin it for everybody.
Oh yeah, let's not ruin it.
You're gonna ruin it.
So when we talk about our exclusivity. Right?
Exclusivity. It was a gentleman, men's only, as far as I know. You threw me for a loop there with the women, but I don't think there was. But I digress. If you can find it, I'll
prove to you that there were girls.
Unless it was in the very early days, because when did this thing start?
What 1872.
Yeah, so it's going way back, right? But I mean,
way back.
Yeah, like. But really, like a lot of people, so does it fit the criteria you asked? And
so this is the criteria. So if we had to say criteria, and this was I took a course through the great courses, Secret Societies, and he defined the professor defined 3 criteria for secret society: exclusivity,
yes,
right, secrecy, and promise of power or privilege or secret knowledge. I believe those were the three criteria.
Yeah. So they stopped producing. So what I read was, I think it was in 2008, they stopped finally putting all of the agendas on cards because the staff members were stealing the agendas and then distributing them. Right. So now it's all probably digital, in our new day and age. Right. So, but a lot of the topics were kind of interesting that I read about, like nuclear war and all this other shit. But
I think a lot of it is topical at the time. This is not. So let's contrast with the Bilderberger group, right?
Yeah, I think this is a very different.
Very different. Very different. So
the club motto is "Weaving spiders come not here," which is stolen from A Midsummer's Night Dream by Shakespeare.
Right? And it's supposed to imply that you leave any outside concerns or business deals outside.
That's right.
But apparently that's not what happened, by the way. Apparently when people get
there.
You
can't put that many fucking egos in one spot and not talk business and talk shop. But I think the idea is that this is a place where, you can be buddy with the guy who's like, going to be president of the United States.
Or currently is.
I don't know if any, I don't know if any seated president is allowed to go. Did you read that? Because they all
Reagan and Nixon were both there. So
they were both there, but I think it was after their term. I don't think they were allowed to go during their term. But I can't confirm that.
We'll confirm that the internet is a wonderful thing.
Yeah, because
1967 president.
It was like a conflict. I mean, the Secret Service. I mean, just the fucking multitude of security that would be required. Okay,
so 1967. So he was inaugurated. So 1967, Reagan was inaugurated governor, but the president was actually Lyndon B.
Lyndon Johnson.
Yeah. So let's see where Nixon is, because both them showed up there.
Well, Nixon's in the sixth late. Well, which went after? No, it was after Johnson because he took over for Kennedy.
Yeah. Okay, so maybe you are correct with that. I ran with that.
It said seated president, so like they would go after they were done. Like, so Ronald Reagan showed up there until he fucking couldn't remember he was Ronald Reagan.
But he was actually the type who would have shown up to these things.
Yeah,
so they talk
thespian.
About he was that's right. Funny enough, though, they say a lot of the articles I read say, well, this is the example of the conservative white boys getting together.
It was, but it was primarily white.
But the U.S. was primarily white at one point.
What's that?
Maybe not. The U.S. was predominantly white at one point.
Right. No, but I mean, it's the predominantly well-to-do. I mean, you have an initiation fee for this fucking place, $25,000. Yeah,
money well spent, friend.
And then you have a yearly fee on top of that. I don't even know what that is. It didn't even say. I couldn't find it because there's not a lot of
good info. There's info out there, and it is.
But like you had a lot of artists, like musicians,
Mark Twain. So some prominent members have shown up at this, right?
Yeah.
Now this is the problem with prominent members. Okay, so our buddy Henry Kissinger
was there every fucking year.
And
he loved to piss in them fucking woods.
I guess, like if he's not in the Bilderberger group with his, as an android there sent from the future to kill John Connor, he's at Bohemian Grove pissing on trees. So, which apparently is a big thing
every year.
It shows man's dominance over nature.
Yeah, we'll call it that. We'll call it dominant, or just you want to, I think there was a lot of cock watching going on there too.
It's called a wang wrangling. Or hammer hawking, your choice. I mean, there's a couple different terms you can use.
I didn't know it was called hammer hawking.
It's so funny enough. That's Jay's nickname.
Really? Hammer hawk? Well, why?
I'll send you a video. I'll send you a video where for his birthday, we went to Wonderland and we got him to go up on stage and to try to explain it. But the long and the short of it is. When did he get this?
I'd known Jay forever.
So you know how Jay has a lazy eye?
Oh, how? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's in a mining camp.
Yes.
You can imagine the level of sophistication there.
Yeah.
And
probably not.
he's in the shower like showering with guys, right? And one of the guys said, "You hammer hawking me, son?" He's like, "What the hell's that?" Because of course, Jade, lazy eye, right? It looks like he's staring at your wang. Yeah,
he's crotch watching.
That's right, crotch watching, wang wrangling,
he's a dick picker,
cock-eyeing, yeah, whatever. Cockeye, right? So he got this nickname at the Hamrock. He said it sounds like a really cool name until you realize.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, it's because they think I'm looking at their dicks. Weird.
That's right. Right.
Okay.
There's apparently a band called the Hamrocks. Anyway, video at Wonderland. This Irish band was up. They called Jay up to explain because we wore shirts for Jay's birthday and it had a hawk carrying a hammer.
Nice.
They were wondering what our shirts were. So we're like, Jay, go explain it. Hammerhawk. The Hammerhawks. Yeah. Hammerhawk. I felt Jay's pain from the distance and I was like, glad it's not me.
Why are you? Yeah.
I suspect there's a great deal of the, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's a lot of foolishness going on, which I think you're taking some of these guys who are like judges and lawyers and, people that just can't tell a dick joke on a day-to-day basis, or make fun of somebody like, oh, look. Hey, Jim. That's barely long enough to piss out of. Fuck.
That's right. Do those come in adult sizes? A lot of it, they say, with the Bohemian Grove as a whole, is that it gives grown men a chance to be kids or children again, which I guess as kids, we spend a lot of time staring at each other's wangs, I suppose, or
not really
being free. They talk about freedom. That's what a lot of this stuff is supposed to represent, right? So do you want to talk about the cremation of care ceremony, the opening ceremony for Bohemian Grove?
I would like, so there's also ritual. And they take some of this is tongue in cheek, right? Like some of this ritual is not like they pray to this. What's it? Not Mogul or
it's not Moloch. I don't think they actually pray to Moloch. They make Moloch. I believe was I think is a Prince of Greed or something. I can't remember. I'm
hold on.
Not familiar with my demon lords.
Let me see.
Moloch, M-O-L-O-C-H.
Moloch, yeah, but which is the owl. The owl.
Is that the name of the owl? Because I know Moloch as being a demon prince, which I think Greed or something.
Moloch is the name. So, but that's where we start to see. This is where people start to get into this is Illuminati, right? Because what was one of the symbols of the Illuminati? Do you remember?
Oh yeah, the owl,
Weishaupt, or whatever the fuck his name was. The
Weishaupt. Okay, and so but the owl is traditionally seen as a wisdom. Okay,
right.
You go back to ancient Greece, and maybe not great to emulate some of the ancient Greece, but looks like they might have been doing this at Bohemian Grove.
There was a lot of different things. So you had like Druidism. You had the effigy or whatever, the owl, the statue is like 40 fucking feet tall. It's concrete and metal. And I mean, there's some work. Like this is not anyone who's listening. If you take some time to read into some of this stuff, and there's lots of articles. Washington Post has a bunch, Insider Business. I mean, there's articles everywhere. And I just started reading articles because there's not a lot of like concrete information out there. Right.
And what is concrete, right? So,
well, this is it,
it sounds
but, I mean, there's more like, okay, well, here's an agenda and here's the people that went and there's not a lot of that. Because the records they kept, they're very secretive.
Well, consider secrets. It's a
secret group of people.
And this is the challenge why a lot of people look at this and they go, oh my God, Illuminati. Okay, well you're right. You got a bunch of rich and powerful hanging out together, right?
Yeah,
watching each other's wangs.
But with that said, so when our good buddy Alex, what's his name there? Alex Jones, basically went in and took some video. Well, what does he take video of? He takes video of one of the opening ceremonies, and that's where they're burning what appears to be a fucking body wrapped, but really it's sticks and
it's supposed to be due care or something.
Care. The effigy called Care, and what it's supposed to. Based on some of the stuff from Philip Weiss, who wrote an amazing article, Masters of the Universe Go to Camp.
And we said Masters of the Universe. I had read the article and I was like, I know, man, I didn't know He-Man was there. Where's Man at Arms?
Well, I think in 1989.
Hela couldn't go, though.
What's that?
Hela couldn't go.
No, she was left. With Orko.
With Orko, because we're not sure about him. That's right.
We're not sure what Orko is. Man, woman, child.
All right, Beast man, you come in.
That's Beast, come in. So they're basically doing a ceremony that they do every year, and they go into some detail. But actually, Alex Jones, this fucking guy, sneaks in. So there is security
with a camcorder.
Yeah, he's
uploaded the video. It's on the Internet Archive. I mean, you can find it all over the place.
Yeah, it's everywhere. But so you got all these dudes, and a lot of them are dressed in robes and kind of weird, like it's very weird sort of, language as well. Some of it's being taken from like, years of thespian fucking, Shakespeare and all sorts of stuff. And then they had guys like Walter Cronkite was like sometimes the opening ceremony guy. And
so let's you talk about some of the people, and you've got Walter Cronkite, our buddy Henry, Clint Eastwood was apparently part of this. Richard Nixon, Ronald Reagan, Mark Twain and Jack London. Now, Mark Twain and Jack actually literally sound like the type of people who would have stared and continued to do something like that.
So every president, every whatchamacallit, what was it? Every president except for Trump, and
you get an invite. Republican. You have to be invited. And
you have to be invited. Yeah.
You can't force your way in. And often they were, like you said, they were invited before they became president. So I thought Nixon and Reagan, one of them was president at the time. I was like, no, they just happened to be in the same place at the same time.
No, and they were like, that's the funny thing is that, they also did. So this was a really great place for them to network, right? So this is sort of like a networking thing, like anything else, right? But it's to build relationships. So what better fucking place than a place? They start drinking at 7 a.m.
Apparently you wander around between the camps. So each of these, very much like summer camp.
Did you have some of the names? Because they're fucking funny.
I do. So we've got the Hillbillies. Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Lost Angels.
Yes. The Silverado Squatters. I love that one.
The Caveman.
The Caveman. Idle Wind. The Owl's Net. I mean, these, like, if these guys are up to the New World Order, no, it's a drunk fest. This is getting fucking hammered and doing like.
Do you know what you're supposed to do when you move between camps? So when you visit camps, the tradition was you would be welcomed any time of day.
Yes.
Welcomed, and you'd be offered a drink.
Yeah. Food and drink is like, there is no shortage of either one. And they mixed up a drink. What was it called? Gin fizzies. So every morning at 7 a.m., they're called gin fizzies. So your wake up drink at 7 a.m. Because you got to think most of these fucking guys are like, they're fucking business guys, or they're up early. You're drinking. You're fucking hammered the whole time you're there. You are having a good time.
Well, that's the part of it, right? You're supposed to be free. And this cremation of care at the start, the opening ceremony, is supposed to represent that freeing of you of that. Now,
yes.
Now it's totally theatrical. And like you said, it's less a ritual and more of a play almost. Like and they do plays. Apparently that happens all the time.
So every year, get this. So I don't know if you read this, but every year there's one play to be done, and it has a 6-figure budget. Hundreds of these guys perform, and it's just like Shakespearean. All the female roles are played by men. So all these, like, imagine some old fucking dude like Henry Kissinger dressed in fucking like nylons, and
I suspect somebody like Henry Kissinger is probably not dressed like it's like the new guys, like, hey, Clint Eastwood here.
I bet you Kissinger's in there like a dirty shirt.
Oh,
give me the bra. Give me the panties.
I brought my own.
Yeah, I got my own. I'm not fucking falling for that like last year.
That's right. I'm not wearing yours, Nixon.
I'll do my own makeup. Step aside, Nixon.
Well, he's still drinking his gin fizzy while he's doing his makeup.
Oh, fuck.
You're awfully good at that.
Yeah.
Henry.
Yeah. Right. So anyway, these guys, and these are like military dudes. they're all
you have a very mixed. Funny enough, you tend to see less of the actual Bohemians there now. There are some, like again, like the Clint Eastwood example. Clint Eastwood is very, not surprisingly, conservative, so he would fit right in. But it's designed for, if you were in the States, it'd be more your Republican leaning versus Democratic leaning.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful area.
Oh yeah,
you're surrounded by redwoods,
old growth.
Yeah, they have quite a bit of security, but that's one of the things that this Philip Weiss talks about.
Military, like we're not talking like the California, the county police used to provide some element. They stopped. They were like, why are we providing
I think it became
security?
So like after Alex Jones and stuff like that. But this Philip Weiss guy, he's like, I didn't even see any security. So what he did, and I think it's worth mentioning because I read his article and then I read a little bit about the guy.
Yeah, he didn't infiltrate, right? Like
no,
it
he
wasn't
infiltrated.
Okay,
but he went in like this. He went in the morning.
Okay.
He had an inside guy who used to trap and hunt in this area.
Fair enough.
He knew a way to get in there without kind of being spotted. So he had a dude who was like, okay, I'll get you in there. So for 7 days, this guy, he said, I dressed conservatively, like an outdoors kind of upper class. I carried a fucking Wall Street Journal under my arm or New York Times, and I had a drink. This is my cover. And he fucking met Ronald Reagan. He got to chill with all these different guys. He said he met Reagan, and Reagan was like, he had one like security guy, and Reagan was all dished out in his fucking like cowboy boots and plaid shirt and big belt buckle and not a clue where he was.
Probably said sexy.
Yeah, well, I guess he was really polite to him and like was super nice. Like he was like Ronald Reagan, like, like what you would imagine him just being very like, I want to hear what you have to say and all that.
Unless you're Gorbachev and the Berlin Wall, he's not going to come at you, bro.
And even then, I think he was
still pretty good.
Yeah, I take a hug from Reagan. Fuck yeah, be like, get in here. Give me that one of those little guys.
Reagan is right up there with Lincoln as far as the Republican go, that they like to wheel them both out as, oh, look, here's our, these are our patron saints.
But this guy though, he's like, he was expecting like complete and utter fucking like, this is New World Order. No, this is New World Order shit. And he's like, I'm like trying not to get pissed on, because one of the first things I notice is like people are drinking so much and they're pissing everywhere. He's like, they're absolutely just pissing everywhere.
Of course, wouldn't you?
Well, I do now.
We usually have to break these things at usually about this time for you to go off and take your tiny bladder.
I gotta go.
Catheter fill. We talked about this.
Well, he said too, he's like, like he was welcomed into all the clubs. No one even questioned him. He's like, so there's no like high tech security like he had heard. And this is in 1989. I'm sure things have changed, with the way the world has been. But he was like, there is a lot of mingling. People were asking who he was, like, what do you do? And he made up some story that his father was some sort of industrialist or something to that effect. But he's like, it's just a party. He said he remembers Henry Kissinger rolling around drunk on the grass. Probably in piss. There's a really good chance if you're rolling around.
And we've all been there before, right?
Well, you especially. Remember when you fell in that fucking embankment?
I didn't fall. I slid. Okay. It happens when you lean back too far and you arc. Yeah. And you're like, why is it raining? And you realize you're sliding down the hill on your arse.
Pissing still.
Urinating on yourself.
And then who came down to get you? You remember that? Who came to get you?
Yeah. 20 minutes later. Thanks.
Oh, you're just mistaken there.
I'm just mistaken. Yeah. I could have been eaten by wolves by then, Phil. Thanks, buddy.
I helped you up the embankment. I think you were covered in piss. I was not happy.
It wasn't all mine, I don't think.
Probably not. I think we all took turns.
Jesus. I know you're right. So this element. So the one I had read was there was a photographer. Now, and I'm trying to remember his name.
There was a couple.
There was
William Domhoff.
It's Dom. I think it's a
Domhoff.
That's the photographer.
And he describes it as an Elks Club for the rich.
Yep.
Boy Scout camp for old guys.
Yep.
So yeah, that was the other thing that this Philip Weiss said. He goes, he was 34 at the time. He goes, like, I was one of the youngest guys there, like by far, and that they wanted young blood. It's like the Masons and stuff now. Like they can't get young guys to join. They just nobody wants to. Right. Nobody wants to.
Because it was the nature at the time, right? You joined a secret club, secret society. Yeah. You became something super awesome.
For sure. But, but yeah, they I don't know that if there was a few people there's been tons of people who've tried to get in, but I think they do it the wrong way. Like this guy was like, he was for Spy Magazine.
Yep.
This Philip Weiss guy. And he was like, okay, I'm just going to try and fit in and see what happens. If they catch me, they kick me out. And if not,
we both know you want to fit in somewhere. What usually works for me is grab a clipboard and walk around and make it look like you're like, don't try to dun. No. Just some of the biggest dog fuckers I've ever met, including one of my old friends. His name was Rick, and he passed away not that long ago. But poor Rick.
He was.
Let's take a moment to remember Rick.
Let's remember Rick. He was a good man, but he was a dog fucker. He would carry his clipboard. I'd be like, why do you have a clipboard? He's like, I just always have a clipboard. Nobody asks me what I'm doing. And I always thought that was hilarious because it's fucking true. It's like, I watched this show about ladders. So you and I, like, we could get in
ladders
anywhere.
As in like ladders,
like a ladder, like climbing a ladder. So you and I, like, say, have a 10-foot fucking ladder, and I grab an end and you grab an end, and we can walk into virtually any building. Okay. Security lets you fucking go right through.
So some of the on-site pen testing is like that, where they part of the pen testing effort. Now, if you don't do this right, you can get really slammed, but you look like you belong. So maintenance works well. It's amazing how many people go off and say, oh, that's just the cleaner. Oh, that's just two guys with a ladder walking through, looking like.
What are you guys doing? Checking fire alarms.
Checking fire alarms.
Dude, I've been in places.
Here's our badge.
Like, you need like CAT certifications for, which I did have. But no one ever asked me for anything.
CAT?
Yeah, it was for safety, like Tembec and things like that. So you needed to have a certification for safety using respirators and.
Oh, gotcha. I was like, you're saying CAT certification, like me in the biz would know that.
Well, Jay would know that. He would have certifications and all that shit. It's basically for safety, and you couldn't go on site without it. But fuck, I'd just walk in, and half the time I'd forget my mask, or nobody ever asked me anything.
Well, it's amazing if you can get past initial security. So this is the challenge. Most of these organizations, businesses, they don't do defense in depth. They have a perimeter. If you breach the perimeter, once you're able to get in, whether it's through a loading bay or whatever,
right.
Most people inside, hey, you're here. It's not my security. It's not my job. And this goes for high security locations too. Unless there's actually checkpoints. Yeah. You can have it.
I've done it intentionally. Like, like even the water treatment plant here, like, it was super easy. I used to do what they call bin stocks. So I used to bring in, it's basically like nuts and bolts and all this stuff.
Okay. Gotcha. I thought it was something nefarious.
No, it was like, for their maintenance, for their
makes sense
shit. So, but I would just like stand there, and like whoever saw me would just buzz me in. And there was no real security.
Well, I did security work for JDS Uniphase back in the day when they had more than like one location. And, we had a process, and I would be the supervisor showing up on site, and I'm sitting there chatting with the guard, and somebody's coming and he's letting him in. I'm like, why are you letting him in?
Who the fuck that is?
Oh, that's the maintenance guy.
Oh,
is it?
Right.
Well, look at him. Okay.
He's got a mop in his car.
Clearly he's the maintenance guy. Okay, maybe let's ask some information from him, okay? And let's verify, at least if he can lie about his credentials and say, I'm so-and-so, blah, blah, blah. Okay, fine, blah, blah. And you go with him, I'll watch your post.
Right. Yeah. But you know what? You're only as good as what you're. So like hospital security, I remember out of college, I thought, I was trying to get a job in corrections, and I thought, well, I'll apply for a job with the hospital security. And I didn't realize this, but the hospital security was contracted. It wasn't, you're not hired by the hospital.
I worked for a company doing the same thing.
Minimum fucking wage. And I was like, you fucking what now? I can get stabbed by crackheads wanting to get their fucking fix. And I'm paid minimum. And you had to buy your own uniforms at that time. I was like, the guy's like, are you sure you want to? Because I was pretty strapping, and they were like, oh, yeah, but I don't know if you're going to like the pit. Because I'm like looking around at all these people, security guards. I'm like, oh, fuck. This is not a good backup team. So that's why the pay was horrible. And when
I worked for Cambrian Protection doing security, what would happen is we would go off. We had the JDS Uniface contract, but I was still the supervisor. So whenever stuff came up, now I didn't start as supervisor. I started doing a lovely weekend shift, noon to midnight. It was awesome watching iBuilding on Brookfield. It was great.
Perfect.
Going to university, you could study. Awesome. However, an opening came, and it was amazing. The security guard jobs, at least when I did it, were sort of the last resort of the damned. Okay.
Yeah.
If you spoke English well, you could rise to be CEO. It was just because I dealt with so many people because think about it, you're a newcomer, right? Your English probably isn't great.
Right.
This one fellow, Ram, which apparently was his last name. So he was Indian, and he kept calling me Mr. Corey. And I was like, it's not mine. Okay. And I would call him Ram. So it was like me calling you, your last name and I'd be doing these hospital watches. The Monfort says, hey, we got a crackhead. We need a guard. Can you send somebody? Right. This guy, whenever I would call, okay. Like,
okay.
Not even going to ask where it is. Okay.
You don't care? No.
All right. Here's the details. Have fun. Let me know if you get stabbed.
Yeah. And that's unfortunate, but
that's usually people think security guards, they're thinking Delta. No.
Well, we would have to transport, like a prisoner to like a hospital. We stayed with the prisoner because you don't trust. Depends on the prisoner, but you don't typically trust the security staff.
Because the security staff are there to watch prisoners who are going to engage in self-harm. And this is where, if you can identify folks, you want to walk around a site, look at the security guard uniforms. And if you get something similar, as long as you stay away from the security guards, nobody's going to give you any hassles. You can get all sorts of places.
Oh, I'm sure.
You can ask them to let you in places.
So much effort though, Corey.
It totally is. Just carry the ladder. Phil, we're just going to do the ladder.
I saw this, and the guys are just fucking carrying the ladder. Like security's like, yeah. And the guys were like, okay, thank you. And they were doing it just to prove a point. Like, if you carry a ladder and are dressed like, like they look like working schmoes, work boots, and they didn't even have hard hats on. They just, they just had that look like they, like carpenters,
But that's where we link this back to the infiltration of Bohemian Grove again. And these were all done. The earliest one, the newest one was Alec Jones's infiltration, right?
Yes. In 2002, I think, or something.
In a 2000, it says in 2000, managed to sneak into the premise with a video camera, capturing some of the only evidence of the club's strange practices.
It's not wrong. There's no one else it's pretty fucking strange. Can you imagine? You go, okay, well, what else is going on there? So let's maybe get into some of the conspiracies, because there are a few surrounding this. We mentioned one already.
Go ahead.
The Illuminati.
The New World Order, right? That is number one. Like and subscribe. See the previous episodes, because there's a couple where we touched on.
We mentioned it in the New World Order, and we probably shouldn't have, because these are just a bunch of drunk assholes. But
it sounds way more sinister, right? You've got a bunch of powerful elite. It's like the Bilderberger group and Bohemian Grove. They sound like, oh my God, we've got a bunch of elite.
Okay, the Bilderberger though is a meeting.
Yes,
it's got an agenda. It's not like, oh, it's gin fizzy time.
That's the agenda. That's number one on the agenda.
You are to fucking have a drink in your hand most of the time. Yeah, you are to be drunk. This is your job.
Club.
This is your club rules. But yeah, so as far as, is it Illuminati, and is it maybe it is a fucking resort for the Illuminati? Who knows? Who am I to fucking judge? But I don't know.
You're doing a good job at judging, though, Phil. That's what I'm impressed with. Your judginess.
Yeah, fuck, it's deep. It's right in my soul. What's that?
INFTJ, the personality profiles.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks. I got a low.
You're probably more of an
brow.
E than an I, but yeah.
Oh, nice.
Okay. So let me go.
Means,
I want to go with the good one. I want to get the good one before you touch it.
I know which one you're going to do. Okay, go do it.
Do you? Which one am I going with?
It's not a conspiracy if it's the one I think.
Oh, no, this is a conspiracy. This is the human sacrifice one.
Oh, well, it's funny you say that because.
Oh, it's not a conspiracy. Is that what you're going to say?
Not going to say that, but it made national news. Remember the kid? Are you talking about that kid that escaped?
Yeah.
And said like people were trying, like they raped and fucking. Yeah. Okay. I don't want to steal your glory here.
No. This is the high level. You had this belief that, again, originally it came out of, oh, look, they're burning something that looks like human. Oh, hey, look, they're clearly engaging, not just a bunch of drunken conservative white guys, old white guys. No, they're engaging in human sacrifice. And I don't know the kid's name. I didn't really get a lot of details.
I'm going to have to find it and post it because they took it extremely serious because he was raped and he had been beaten. And I mean, the case disappeared though, I think. I think it disappeared because it was fairly ridiculous, but they kept the kid in a cage, and that's where this go. Yeah. So if it's the same one, there was one kid that was in a cage. There was other, and some of these men, not all of them, took turns sexually assaulting the young boy.
Okay. And again, this is that idea of literally, you got Walter Cronkite. I mean, we could ask Henry Kissinger. I'm sure he would say, yeah, there was a lot of.
But you got to remember too, there's 2,500 of these fucking mental cases. What are the odds some of them are complete and utter sociopaths?
Yeah.
There's a good chance. Hey, let's fucking bring in a couple slave kids and see what happens.
Yeah. But that sounds so sensationalism, right? Like, it's like, okay, then did anything ever come of it? Maybe again, back to the New World Order thing, right?
Probably not. These are some. Yeah, you're not gonna. I don't know. I didn't look into it too much because it's not the Bohemian Grove. Like it would be more of, I don't know. But the kid, they did believe him. Like the police did believe that.
But you kind of have to. So this is the.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of this you have to start with, okay, let's take you seriously. Let's walk through this. And
now, with that said, he said they were wearing rope. He didn't know where they were. So that was part of the problem, right? He didn't know where they were. They were wearing robes.
Yeah.
And then, he was taken away. And then he didn't know. But it sounded like, it sounds good, right? But who the fuck knows? They link
it back to that, right? They say, well, clearly this kid escaped. Clearly it was Bohemian Grove, right? Because, they do a bunch of sick stuff. Speaking of sick stuff, do you know how our good buddy Tricky Dick captured this?
No.
Okay. His thoughts. This is President Richard Nixon comments from May 13th, 1971. The Bohemian Grove, which I attended from time to time, it is the most faggoty goddamn thing you could ever imagine with that San Francisco crowd, which I could see.
He totally did. I wrote that fucking down.
Because it's like, I can see Richard saying that, like, yeah, bunch of weirdos.
Yeah, except he went for 40 years fucking straight.
He goes from time to time. Okay, clearly it's not weird enough for you.
So when you go for 40 fucking summers, like you get this accolade. Like, so there is a hierarchy in the Bohemian Club.
Yep.
Right. So and you get this like fucking honorary thing, and he had that. So
let's see.
He enjoyed his time.
I will tell you Nixon's status.
Yes.
Richard Nixon. Yeah, he is not. He is apparently not considered to be a honorary life or life founding member.
Oh, really? So, well,
apparently
also
not.
We had Watergate, so that poses a small problem.
That might have hurt him put a
little pinch of salt in his water.
Back to you, another conspiracy, unless you don't have one. In which case, if you don't, I got another one.
Oh no, I got one, but it's not a conspiracy.
Oh,
it's one of my favorites, and I did a bunch of reading on this. The Manhattan Project.
Yes, Oppenheimer was there.
Yes, it was conceived and it's not even a conspiracy.
The players all met there.
They all met there, and that's where they believe that everything.
Over gin fizzies.
No, so it wasn't during the Jinx, whatever the fuck it was. So the club is open to members. Mm-hmm. So not all of these men were members, obviously, but one of them was. I can't remember which one. And so they used the club to, kind of have a,
planning meeting took place in September 1942.
That's right. And then shortly thereafter, we're looking at Nagasaki and Hiroshima. So yeah, they deem it as sort of like the birthplace of where the minds got together to, hey, this is what we're going to do. I think there was a major and a lieutenant there. There was a few other
meeting, Ernest Lawrence, Oppenheimer, the S1 Executive Committee, and such. Well, they're apparently the presidents of Harvard, Yale, Princeton, along with representatives of Standard Oil Electric, and various military officials.
Yeah. So and that, you know what? To me, that's like, okay, so, you're the guys. You're going to hang out. It was kind of a big deal. So this whole club, it was a place where they could have met anywhere. But, they met in a very secretive place where they knew they wouldn't be disturbed. And I'm sure
because 1940s, it would have been more secretive than it is now.
Way more. Yeah, I'm sure it would.
Way more.
Yeah. And probably more weird, just because it's
probably closer
older,
to its roots.
Yeah, like a lot more like so that's the other thing is that there's a lot of naked swimming. Gotta mention
skinny
that.
Dipping. Yeah, you gotta mention
Males, that. Yes, the partaking, which I don't think there's anything wrong with men being naked around each other, but it's not something that you want to,
you do it in the shower, right? The communal showers,
at the gym or whatever. I mean, I have, but there are men that won't. I know, like even like I know people that they're just like they go right into a stall or something.
I know people that are the exact opposite. I had my supervisor, Captain Morgan, me when I was putting my socks on.
Oh, Jesus. Well, hello there.
I'm sitting there putting my socks on.
Oh, yeah.
I just got finished. I'm, getting dressed and everything. Put my socks on. And and I turn and I'm like, oh,
you know what? I hope one day that I have the fucking confidence of some of these old dudes.
Exactly,
just
right?
Standing there, their fucking giant nuts are hanging down to their knees.
Did you ever see the series Happy?
No, I haven't.
Watch it. You'd like it. Chris Mulaney. There's a scene where he at the opening. He wind up. He's basically one of those backless hospital gowns, and he's getting dressed, and these two guys are staring behind him. It's like. It's hypnotic watching them sway.
Jesus.
Watch it, Happy. You
Jay
will like
I used to go to the Y and work out and stuff. And like, we'd be in there and like, we get our shit done. Like, it's like, you go and have your shower.
I'm not ashamed, but I'm not looking to hang out naked with a bunch of dudes.
Yeah. Like it's not.
Unless it's a sauna.
And then you'd have like, like you say, like this old dude this one time. This old dude's like getting changed. And he's like balls out, and I tapped Jay, and I was like, "What's it?" And he turns, and he's like, fucking face full of balls. Oh fuck! He was like, "Oh, god damn." But you know what?
I know, and maybe that makes us prudish. Okay, I admit I'm not looking to hang around. And this thing, apparently, after you do the initial ceremonies, you're free to get drunk and hang out
and do whatever until it's time to dress up in drag and finish your
finish your play and get your summer camp play together.
your six-figure, they have a whole wardrobe. They've got like casting. This is a big deal. This is like a fucking huge production.
Which, given the fact that it's supposed to be thespian, like originally, it's that summer camp thing. And then what do you do at summer camp? You put on those crappy summer camp plays, I guess.
Oh, I remember like skits and stuff and scouts.
Yeah. Remember at the campfire? We had to light the campfire one year and use the arrow coming in. And
we remember we did that with camper fuel.
We lost our eyebrows. That was not a. Yeah, that was a different game. Move so fast.
I remember, running. You stupid sons of bitches.
Just thought he lost another scout troop.
That was like a 30-foot flame.
Friggin' Desmond.
That bastard. Anyway.
So I have another conspiracy.
Okay, what is it?
Satan worship.
Oh, yeah.
Well, so this links into the human sacrifice. Okay, well,
the effigy.
That's the effigy, right? But then we got actual Satan worship. And this comes back to the Moloch, that this owl god is representative of the David Moloch from the Hebrew Bible, the whole idea that they engage in pagan rituals, and it's how they promote their success, and they have to keep things going. Our buddy, what is it? To Jones, this is back to the New World, a demonic high-tech tyranny formed by Satanist elites who manufacture economic and health crises and are using selective breeding to create a superior race.
Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to say that these folks are superior race.
Well, okay. Depends on who you talk to, I suppose. I mean, what forums you frequent.
Well, I guess. I just don't see a place that encourages you to be drunk all the time as being a very productive place to take over the world. It's not
how I would see. Yeah, I would think, but maybe that's why they haven't been successful, Phil.
Well, maybe they just don't want to be. They just, okay, we come here every year.
We're here to relax and enjoy ourselves. Yeah. And I think that's,
I really think that's what it's all about. I don't see the conspiracy here at all.
Correct. And the secrecy element, I mean, yeah, they're burning bundles of sticks in front of a big owl statue. Well, we hope. Yeah, that's right. We're pretty sure.
We're not 100% sure. That was only probably for the camera. They saw fucking Alex. No, get rid of the kid.
Get rid of the kid. Push him over. Look, sticks.
Look, sticks.
So how speaking of craziness, House of Cards with our buddy Kevin Spacey.
Oh, okay. I've never watched House of Cards.
Neither have I. My wife loves it or loved it. Not so much after Kevin Spacey
openly admitted to sexually assaulting young boys.
He never openly admitted. He said, if I did it, I'm really sorry, but I'm so drunk I couldn't remember because of the gin kissies. And oh, by the way, and then comes out saying, oh, and by the way, I'm gay. Anyway, not what I was going on. In House of Cards, they have so Bohemian Grove has been parodied or covered in fiction, right?
Sure.
So in House of Cards, there's Elysium Fields, which is supposed to be Bohemian Grove, except in this case, it's actual satanic worship and human sacrifice. So,
really? Oh,
or is it? I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen the episode, but that was sort of called into, like, they took the artistic license.
Oh,
so,
well, I mean, yeah. Like if you look at our trilogy here, what do we have? We have I guess we're not really in a trilogy.
It's more than a trilogy now. We've got a couple. Like I said, we need to do collections on YouTube. So here's all these episodes.
Like the Black Lodges and the Bilderberger, now the Bohemian Grove.
And we link that all back to the New World Order episode.
The New World Order.
There we go. Yeah, now you've got your collection.
Yeah. So, but I mean,
and the Illuminati. Don't forget that.
We did Illuminati. That's right. That's right. Yeah. So and Freemasons.
Yeah.
That's secret societies, but of all of them, I think this one is the absolute least in terms of direction. I think this is a bunch of dudes that are like, let's get together. Like, this is why the membership is so, it's not because it's a party, it's a 16-day party
with the over 50 group, with the over 50 set, right?
And you know what, they don't want girls. You know why? Because it just causes arguments.
What's a line here? One second. I got a perfect line that they said. Where is it? Let's see if I can find it. I highlighted it. It was one regarding. Let's face it.
You bring your wife, and she's not going to let you piss everywhere. My wife would be like, "You're not pissing everywhere. No, that's enough." I know it. You want to piss? You're pissing in a toilet. Yeah,
which is fine, I guess. I mean,
no, but that's not fine to these guys. These guys want to piss wherever they want to piss, with each other, even
with each other, right?
Especially with each other.
There's that element of brotherhood,
right? Yeah.
Oh, here we go. Herman Rorick wrote about the Grove. Men can decently love each other. They always have, but women never quite understand.
Yeah.
Like Spartans.
Different time.
When in Greece.
Yeah. And is there some homosexual stuff going on? Out of 2,500 men, I would say that 10% are probably homosexual.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the representation would be, but I mean, I'm sure there's.
So that's 250 homosexuals that are in the camp, which, whatever floats your fucking boat.
Exactly. Who cares? But it's that idea that this is, what was it? Iron John. Do you ever remember that? The whole getting naked in the woods and banging drums. That was a thing.
No,
I want to say 90s.
Never did it, but I would try it. Sure.
Well, I don't know if I would try it. I mean, again,
I'm very comfortable with no clothes on. It's fine.
I'm not uncomfortable. I just would rather not. Yeah. Iron John, a book about men. It's a book by the poet Robert Bly.
Oh,
yeah.
It's not something that I think about, right? It's not like, hey, I wonder if me and my buddies will, go swimming naked. It's just not a.
Remember scouting?
Oh yeah.
Go get the water. From
okay, nothing weird here, folks.
Best line from the Naked Gun movie.
That
number 2. I haven't had this much sex since I was a Boy Scout leader. I was dating a lot at the time.
Yeah.
Remember Shane swimming out to the middle to get who was dehydrating?
Jay. We fucking carried him. I carried him.
I was not. I was back at the camp.
You couldn't.
Wondering where. Okay.
That was back in his big days.
You guys were clearing the trails that Marty made you on the death march. And I was back at camp with Kevin and we were doing the carry and a half. And we're like,
you were so lucky.
Jim, they're not back yet.
Because it was ridiculous. Yeah. Jay had got sunstroke. And we had run out of water because what we thought was going to be a 4K turned into a 12K march.
And it wasn't just a march; you were clearing the trail. We
stopped clearing the trail because we were like, "Fuck, we're never going to get through this." When we realized that, we were there was a lot of logs across the trail and stuff too. So, we were trying our best, but Jay got heat stroke and. He couldn't even walk. Like there was a point where Shane and I are taking turns carrying him and helping him along, and he got really dehydrated. So we had a bottle. What was it? It was like a pop bottle. One of them brought pop, like soda, and I'm like, all right, well, I guess you should go out. And I'm laughing because Shane's like, oh, I'll swim out. And I'm like, dude, you're gonna get all soaking wet. And he's like, I know. I'm like, just fucking strip down and go. No one cares. So here's Shane bare ass. Out he goes. And I'm like,
get the water, the good water's in the middle.
I'm like, stay away from the shore. It's gross. And he's out there and Shane is like translucent. He's so white. Like he was glowing. He actually gave birth to a lot of like single-celled organisms in the deep dark waters. There's Shane. But anyway, he got water for him.
And then what happened? What'd you find 5 minutes later?
When you got spring, like 2 minutes later, like 2 minutes, and Shane's just like
a refreshing swim, I guess.
Yeah, it was hot too. Like it was a warm day. Anyway, what a fucking shit show. I would have killed me. I was in a much better shape back then. Fuck. Anyway.
But a lot of the stuff. So I've heard parallels between the Bohemian Grove shenanigans and scouting. Right now, not aside from the running around naked stuff, which apparently
drunkenness and
right?
Sex with boys, I suppose. What?
All right. Wait, what? Okay. But it's the idea of this return. And that's where I think once you look at it from that element, all of a sudden, a lot of the sinisterness just disappears.
If you were to say to me, hey, all of the old guys would get together and let's do a camp like scouts, I would be fucking right in there. Not because I know I would suffer. I know it would be miserable. Because I'm old now, but there would be a part of me that would be like, that'd be fucking cool.
Just to get back to now, mind you, there'd be more booze, so that's important.
Oh yeah, there'd be more booze. There'd be a lot more booze, but I mean, there'd be a part of me that's like, what? I could spend a week doing this, or 2 weeks. I mean, who really? And financially speaking, most people couldn't do that anyway. Well,
you look at this. I saw some pictures of the tents they set up, and you'd have tents like little. It's basically like a canopy over you, but they would have cabins.
There were cabins. There was different, but that's the different levels of the Bohemian club, right? Is that there's, your Nixon is not staying in a fucking tent, and neither, no, Nixon's like, I want my cabin.
Former or future presidents do not stay in tents.
No,
Alex Jones stays in the tent.
Alex sneaks into your tent and hate rapes you at some point.
Poor Alex.
Anyway, so yeah, I enjoyed reading about it. I enjoyed the articles by Philip Weiss, and if you get a chance, it's short. It's like 17 pages of stuff.
I didn't read the full article. Like I've got snippings from
Spy magazine.
Yeah, Inside Bohemian Grove by Spy magazine.
It was really good.
His famous expose.
Because you're expecting this craziness, and he's all the way along. He's like, it's not really, he got to meet a bunch of people. He sounded like everyone had a fucking good time. Like he's kind of like sad that he only went 7 days of the, he left. No one told him to leave. He did say he planned on, if he could make it, he would stay 7 days, and that was it. So I don't know. What else do you want to say about Bohemian Grove, Corey?
We can just summarize. Not as interesting as I thought it would be.
No. And I feel like, that's the case with most of this stuff.
I know. I was kind of hoping once we were talking about the rituals, right, that we'd be able to really dig into. And it's like, it sounds like they're doing the rituals almost for a lark.
Fun. It's tongue in cheek, man. It's like, it's for fun. It's almost like everyone cheers and
correct.
They have they're drunk at this point. It's evening.
All those gin fizzies.
Those dudes. Well, that's the morning. And then you get into the hard shit.
I don't know. Gin fizzies would be pretty hard for me. I do not handle gin well at all.
No, that shit's gross. But I think that it's a getaway. These guys can just be dudes, They can
they can't be. It's not just dudes. They can be jackasses and kids.
Well, this is what I'm saying. Like they can just be. But like if I swear, if I say fuck, no one cares. They just go, oh, he's an uncultured piece of shit, whatever. But like if Nixon says it, or if Mark Twain were to make fun of someone's dick while they're pissing, that's like a newsworthy article, right?
True,
right?
Well, one of the things they talk about
themselves.
They say the purpose is to escape the frontier culture or uncivilized interests of common men. Let me get this straight. You're doing that by drinking a lot, pissing everywhere, and making fun of each other's wangs. Okay,
no,
gotcha.
You're envious of the common man because you can't do all those things all the time.
No, you're absolutely right.
You can't. You're too important.
It's not escaping it. You're actually being able to do that.
Yeah, like look at our prime minister, Justin Trudeau. Right?
Yes,
that guy can't
JT.
Fucking fart without someone writing an article about it. I mean,
maybe he needs to be a little bit better when it's like, hey, it's truth and reconciliation. I spent more effort to word about what I
show up, right? But okay, well, I'm using him as a reference point of like, he can't just be, and inside he's like, he
can't do blackface anymore. He wants to do blackface. He only did it 2-3 times,
right? Like
I'm like
when I first saw that, I was like, part of me is like, okay, could it get worse?
And it did.
And then he doesn't show up to the Truth and Reconciliation Day. I'm like, yeah, it can get worse.
Yeah, and not showing up, lying about it. It would have been cool if he went off and said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go surfing with my family because it's Truth and Reconciliation Day. Yeah. And like I suffered from, I was like, what do you do on this day?
Because you suffered. I'm going to take a day off work to reflect.
We're going to reward ourselves for our bad behavior.
Yeah. What?
Yeah. It was just weird. It was a weird situation. And to have the person who's supposed to be front and center of it, not just blowing it off, but lying.
I know.
I'm in secret meetings in Ottawa. And why are you surfing over here in front of the cameras?
I was like, the finance guy there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, hello, welcome Canadians. And he pre-recorded everything. What was his name? I can't remember his fucking name.
Bill Morneau. Is that Bill Morneau?
Like that. Yeah, the finance guy.
Yes, and he did it from somewhere else, but made it like as if.
Yeah, no, they pre-recorded it before they left. In their fucking get up and their sweaters and meanwhile they're in the Caribbean. Like fuck.
When everybody else is locked down with COVID, told not to travel. Yeah. Back to the subject of bad behavior. So Bohemian Grove, not that interesting. A bunch of guys, rich old conservative white guys getting together, pretending to be jackasses and kids again.
That's in a nutshell. Literally and dressing and drag and doing some production of Annie, apparently.
Did they do a production of Annie?
I don't know.
Was Henry Annie? He was like, I want to play Annie.
I want to play Annie over here. No, you do not, Henry.
No,
sit down, Henry.
You can't play every role, Henry.
Take your dress off. Sit down. Piss over there. Go for a piss.
What are we doing next week, Phil?
I'm torn.
Oh, no.
I'm torn because there's not a lot of
information. Vertically or horizontally? One you can live, one you can't.
I'm going to tell you what. This
is episode 13. This is the end of season 3.
I know.
So it's got to be a big one. A lot of pressure, Phil.
There's 2. Well, okay. So we'll walk through this. Have you ever heard of someone called Valiant Thor?
I've heard of Thor.
Okay. So this guy was...
Not white supremacy, is it?
No, not at all.
Just making sure. Is he a serial killer? Is he a serial killer? Okay.
I just learned about him. And that's why
I never heard of him.
I never had either. And I actually just listened to a podcast that, when you're listening to a podcast and your podcast will skip forward to the next podcast, he was just on it. And I'm like, this is really interesting. However, I started to Google search and look, and there's just not a lot of information about this guy. So who he was the guy from Venus. I don't know if you've heard of this. So he claimed to be a dude from Venus. Yeah, the story gets a little more interesting, though. So he telepathically speaks to these 2 police officers who are like, you're not from Venus. And then they're like, oh, fuck, maybe he's from Venus. They take him to basically ends up at the Pentagon. Yeah.
Okay.
Talks to the head of the Pentagon at the time. So this is in 1957.
Of course it's 1950, where the records were terrible. Of course it is.
Yeah, there's pictures of him. No, he's in. Yeah. And he ends up staying at the Pentagon. And he's full out. And what he's here to do is to save the planet.
He's doing a bang up job
of nuclear weaponry, and he needs to speak to the president. And from my account, and he did speak to the president. But anyway, he sounds like a really cool guy. And but I think maybe I'll hold off, because the last one I want to do, it's totally out there.
More out there than Valiant Thor.
I really want to do
his first or last name. You got to go with your gut, Phil.
Is Val Thor. So
Val Thor, not Valiant Thor.
No, his full name is Valiant, but he preferred to be called Val. And he lives for hundreds of years. And he actually, he had a career. Anyway, you have to. Anyway, so that's one. And the other one is, did giants exist? Dun, dun, dun. Bow, bow, bow. There's a lot of cool shit about giants, especially the Kandahar giant. Have you read about that one?
I remember seeing something about that.
You gotta read it. It's fucking crazy. So I think we'll do giants.
Giants, that's the official one.
Exist.
This will fit nicely into our supernatural cryptid collection.
Correct. And I think that we'll save Valiant Thor until I find more information. But look him up; he's well worth a look. Okay. There's pictures of this dude. Really handsome fella. Looks like a Venusian.
Man, we're supposed to be from Mars, Phil.
Yeah, no, Venus, colony on Venus, apparently. And they're human, just like us, except they're better in every way. That's what he says. Anyway, yeah, so giants. And
giants next week. Okay, folks.
I know. I just talked myself out of Valiant Thor.
Do Valiant Thor then. Let's do it. Let's pull the trigger.
I want to do giants because that was the one I picked like a week ago. Okay. But I heard about Valiant Thor. We're going to do them in the future, but I'm not sure when.
Okay. But fair enough. I will leave that for you to pick.
Thanks. Thank you very much for watching the OC. And this is my co-host, Corey. I'm Phil, and we will be not doing giants next week, but we will be talking about the existence of giants and said large hominoids.
We'll be covering them with large tarps.
Large tarps. That's right. All right. Have a good night. Stay safe, and happy Halloween.
Likewise. Take care, folks.
Bye now.